Okay, welcome back to Solo Roll Mangging, Tales of Argosa. Last time we looked at one of the Trilemma adventures, which are definitely a very different breed compared to a lot of like kind of old school OSR modules that we've been looking at. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't really my thing for solo gaming, at least. I didn't really mean to disparage them or anything like that. I mean, I do think they might benefit from an extra page each for GM info. But, you know, this is the whole sort of idea of the one-page dungeon. This is the new thing, a one-page dungeon, one-page adventure, sort of stuff like that. Actually, Shadow Dark has done some of those as well. I think I have some of those mini adventures. Right, so here, this is the Wavestone Monolith. This is written by the designer of Shadow Dark. And it's not quite one page, it's 2 pages. And it's not quite as artsy as the Trilemma ones. But it is very short and simple. You just have 9 rooms, technically. And then each one gets a little paragraph. Very tight, formatted. You know, leech pool, vaulted ceiling, fishy smell, pool, 20 feet of still green water lined in tiles of lapis lazuli and malachite, each tile worth 1 gold. 4 giant leeches trawl the pool, wide grate on wall 10 feet down, lets in water from lake through shaft, DC 15 strength check to pry, an open underwater tunnel on floor, pool leads to area 5. So very compact, but I mean, in there you've got loot potential, you know, that's kind of with values listed. You've got enemies. And you know that these stat blocks will probably correspond to, I would imagine, maybe not. I would imagine, yeah, giant leech, there you go. So correspond, obviously taken from the Shadow Dark book. You've got actual numbers, because this is designed for a specific system. And it's all pretty clear what's going on in that room. So for me, this is much more usable. This is something that I could just be like, oh shit, I have 3 minutes. I need an adventure for tonight. I grab Wavestone Monolith, and that's probably going to be your adventure for 2 hours. You know? And it's, you know, classic Shadow Dark stuff of just like, yeah, you're going here because you heard treasure is here. Bada bing, bada boom, here we go. So yeah, I mean, you don't really need much more than 2 pages to get a couple hours of play out of a game. So this is more, I think, this is more usable for me. Probably for a lot of people that are going to play Shadow Dark. But Trilemma, obviously, much more artsy and thematic perhaps, and system agnostic if that's important to you. I don't know how much people delve though. I don't know. I mean, Shadow Dark is already niche. Anything that's not Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition is niche. So, I don't know. But anyways, we're not here to talk about that. So we tried that out, we got a couple XP, we killed a giant enemy crab, it was fun, we rescued a kid, we killed one of the sirens, as far as we know, the only siren, and job well done, blah, blah, blah. So now we're moving on, and I decided that what we're going to try out is Against the Slave Lords for AD&D 1st edition. By David Cook, Alan Hammock, Harold Johnson, Tom Moldvay, Lauren Schick, and Skip Williams. What a collection of authors here. And this is a big document. This is 178 pages. This is the big compilation. So basically, in 1980, for Gen Con 13, I believe, they needed to come up with a tournament module. And so, you know, there's some backstory, but they came up with this one, A1 Slave Pits of the Undercity, for characters levels 4 through 7. And then, I don't know if this was, I think this was part of it as well. They released like multiple tournament modules at once. Yeah, these are all 4 through 7. So they're all kind of like, they basically wanted like similar setups for all the tournament modules, but that were different enough that players couldn't just like talk to each other and you know, figure out everything that was going on. So yeah, they created A1 through A4, Slave Pits of the Undercity, Secret of the Slaver Stockade, Assault on the Area of the Slave Lords, and In the Dungeons of the Slave Lords. So they're all kind of together, but also fairly separate. You could run any of these and it would be fine. Years later, in like, I don't know, the 90s or something, 99, I want to say. I don't remember now. They apparently put together a redone version of it called Scourge of the Slave Lords, in which they rewrote and added content to tie all 4 together. But apparently that one's not really well received. The additions are not really highly regarded. So in 2013, shockingly, 2013, Wizards of the Coast put out this compilation called Against the Slave Lords, which ditched all the stuff from the reprint, the redone version. So this is all the original versions reprinted in like a hardcover version. And they actually they put together a new adventure as like an intro to it, which is Danger at Dark Shelf Quarry. Because this is for levels 1 to 3. And it's pretty lengthy itself. It's like 25 pages. But yeah, this was a new first edition AD&D adventure written by Wizards of the Coast in 2013. Pretty wild. So I don't know how far we're all going to get, but we're going to definitely start with Danger at Dark Shelf Quarry. And if it goes well and we like it, then we might do A1. I don't really expect us to go any further than that, especially because they are somewhat separate. So I think if we can do those two, that'll be pretty good. All right. So this takes place at a quarry located a half-mile from the village of Dark Shelf on the coast of the Sea of Gearnat in Nyrund. So I think for our purposes of our map, it's going to be this. So we're going to call this village Dark Shelf. Okay. And then the quarry is a half mile, so it's within that hex as well. We're not going to worry about what's actually going on or the backstory. We just need the hook. Dark Shelf's overlord, a man named Nystor, is wary of Basili Eric. Okay, well, we skipped over all the backstory, so don't worry about that. While the player characters are in or near the village, they learn that Nystor wants to hire adventurers to look into the dealings at the quarry. If they do not seek him out on their own, eventually he sends for the party. So, pretty much, yeah, we hear word in Bergenworth that the mayor or whatever of Dark Shelf to the north, which mostly keeps to themselves. I mean, there's probably, we could probably add a road here going to Dark Shelf. If they're dealing with a quarry, I mean, they're shipping stuff out fairly regularly. So we could, I feel like that was too big. That's too big. I don't think we wanted a fill. Fucking... Okay, so... Undo is just... No, nothing. Okay, fine. I'll delete it. Good enough. We're gonna live with that. Alright, so... Yeah, we hear word that he's looking for adventurers, apparently. To look into some problems at the quarry. And, you know, this is... It's rare that we hear a call for adventures, so of course we're gonna hop to it. So let's do some random encounter rolls along the way. Let's say 3. I think Dark Shelf's like a day away. Because this is like 4, 8, 12 miles or something like that. So it's probably about a day's trip to Dark Shelf. Not a whole lot of interaction, but maybe there was a, you know, a merchant or, maybe not a merchant. What am I, like a transporter? I don't know. Someone that's hauling, you know, ore and things like that all the way, making the big trip. It is a massive trip down to the nearest big town. So I don't know. Maybe there's a better way to go. It seems like an eternity, right? Probably they sell it to the Lord. And he's probably got plenty of uses for various stone and blah, blah, blah. And he probably has contacts. I don't know how this... There has to be closer towns than this. This is an insane journey of hundreds of miles. Each one of these is 300 miles. I mean, that's way too much. Probably more likely they go on boats. Oh, there's a town up here. That's probably quicker. Still, though, it's 300, 600, 900, 1200, 1500, 1800, 2100 miles. Insane. So there's obviously way more towns than this. We just didn't happen to populate any. But if we're being realistic, there's probably a town, like here. I would say. Yeah, a good-sized town, maybe of like 20,000 or something. Anyways, irrelevant for our purposes. But so we hear the call, and we're gonna make the trek out there. So this is 3d6 rolls. Okay, we're all good. And then we're going to spend some rations. No, we probably make it to Dark Shelf. Never mind. So we probably can just eat food in the inn. Get those back. Alright, so let's just deduct money for staying at the inn for the night. And getting some meals in our guts. So an inn out here in Dark Shelf, probably pretty damn cheap. We've got no horses or anything. So say 5 silver for each of us, or for the 5 of us. And then a meal. Pretty much any possibility. It's always such a wide range, which, I mean, that's fair, I suppose. So probably another 5 silver. If we're eating good, we'll tip them well. We're adventurers here for adventure business, so we'll just go down to gold. Done. All right. The next day, however, we meet with Naster. The village overlord is a stocky, middle-aged man with graying hair and a beard to match. The results from the quarry seem too good to be true, he says. And the raid on the slavers' camp was a little too quick and clean, if you ask me. Okay, I feel like players should know more of what's going on. Alright, so the quarry has been producing modest amounts of granite and limestone for decades. A surface outcrop of granite was quickly exhausted, but workers tunneled under the surrounding hills to extract more stone. As they moved farther beneath the hills, they discovered seams of flawless limestone. Today, the quarry is producing more stone than ever. A small, dedicated workforce toils in 3 shifts around the clock. A steady flow of ox carts hauls rough blocks of varying size from the quarry to the docks at Darkshelf. From there, the stone goes to building sites up and down the coast or into the continental interior via river barges. Most of the locals attribute the increased production to the efforts of Basili Eric, a flame-hailed dwarf with a beard to match. Basili has received the title to the quarry and environs from the local overlord in return for a share of the revenues. Until recently, the overlord has had no cause to complain. Revenues from the quarry have quintupled. Basili has not only increased production, but also discovered several veins of pure quartz and even a little gold deep in the quarry, or so he claims. However, all is not entirely well at the quarry. As the workers tunneled more deeply, they broke into underground springs that flooded parts of the quarry and drowned several members of the crew. Other workers have reported eerie sounds, including moans, cries, rattling chains, sobs, and rhythmic chanting, coming from some of the disused tunnels. Human workers, drawn mostly from Darkshelf and the surrounding country, fill 2 shifts at the quarry. The 3rd shift, working at night, is rumored to consist of dwarves from Basili's clan. The human workers never mix with dwarves or even see them except as shadowy figures deep in the tunnels. Only Basili deals with these dwarves. Quarry isn't the only place where mysterious trouble has arisen. On the waterfront of the village of Darkshelf and on the Pelira River nearby, several half-eaten bodies, both human and animal, have turned up. Carnivorous fish are suspected, even though some of the victims were found well inland. In truth, several mud tigers from caverns below the quarry have found their way out and have begun hunting in the Darkshelf area. Mud tigers. Perhaps most troubling, pirates and slavers have been active in the region lately. Sailors, fishers, and farmers have been abducted. The local overlord seems to have succeeded in turning the slavers back for the time being. Basili and his unseen dwarves lent a hand, tracking a slaver gang to its hideout in a midnight raid and freeing a score of captives. The dwarves also killed several slavers and captured a few of them alive. These prisoners were dragged back to Darkshelf, where they were swiftly tried and executed. Despite the recent success against the slavers, a cloud of unease hangs over Darkshelf and the quarry. The citizens know that the slavers might return at any time and seek revenge for their setback. The other incidents, the noises in the mines, the mysterious dwarves, and the half-eaten bodies all seem to bode ill for the area. Okay, a lot going on at Darkshelf. So anyways, he says that the results from the quarry seem too good to be true, and the raid on the slavers' camp was a little too quick and clean, if you ask me. He starts counting on his fingers as he paces back and forth across the room. And then there's the dwarves that work in the quarry at night, but that nobody ever sees. And of course, the terrible attacks we've had around Darkshelf. He turns to face you. Something's not right at that quarry. Will you look into it for us? If the characters ask whether anyone else has investigated the quarry, he hesitates before admitting that he did send another agent. It wasn't so much the quarry as it was the attacks. I sent a man named Quan to find out what's been killing our people and leaving the bodies looking half chewed up. He brought me a few reports, but I haven't seen or heard from him in a while now. His face becomes grim. Frankly, I'm worried. I'm hoping that by looking into the quarry, you'll maybe find Quan. Alive, I mean. If asked, Nystor shares the information that Quan, a human monk, sent back before he disappeared. In his last communication, he reported finding a hidden dock on the river below the quarry. Quan indicated that his next move would be to explore the quarry without Basili Eric's knowledge. Basili Eric's knowledge. The report includes the location of the ventilation shaft that leads down to Area 37 in the quarry's main level. It also reveals the location of a hidden dock on the local river that leads to Area 56 in the caverns below the quarry. Nystor is worried about his agent, but he does not realize that the monk is not in immediate need of rescue. Quan has infiltrated the quarry, joined a group of slaves, and started exploring the area in secret. If the player characters ask for a reward, the Overlord nods. Fair enough. Tell you what, you find out what's really going on, put a stop to any trouble, and find Quan, and I'll pay you 500 gold pieces from the village coffers. Puts on a weak smile. Irax also reported that his dwarves have found a bit of gold deep in the quarry. Don't know if I believe him, but if you stumble across any, you can keep it. Okay. Good. Player characters can enter the quarry by any method available to them. The ventilation shaft or caverns are the safest bet for the heroes, but they can also bluff their way in through the guardhouse or the main gallery. An open approach places the characters at considerable risk. The denizens of the quarry are not stupid. They are well aware that the discovery of their true activities could be disastrous. They do their utmost to pose as honest merchants while keeping visitors at arm's length. They require that armed visitors surrender all weapons before entering the quarry. Some player groups might poke around the neighborhood before tackling the quarry. The coast around Darkshelf rises quickly to a series of bluffs that are mostly covered in forest. Near the village, the land lies fairly low, and the countryside has been cleared for farming. Farther inland, the bluffs and the trees rise. Just west of the village, the Pallyra River flows into the Sea of Girnat. The action in this adventure centers on the quarry, which is located in the high bluffs about 3 miles inland from the village. The Pallyra River is less than half a mile west of the quarry and connects to its tunnels through an underground tributary. So we could poke around and talk to the locals, but I think we'll skip that. So do we want to go in through one of these other approaches, or do we want to just approach the front and be like, hey, how's it going? Is there anything evil going on here? Quan found the location of the ventilation shaft that leads down to Area 37 and a hidden dock on the local river. We don't really have a boat or anything, so maybe the ventilation shaft is the way to go. Alright, so they must carefully search the hilltop above the quarry. The shaft is about 5 feet wide and has stone-lined sides. It's nearly hidden in a thicket of saplings and looks like an abandoned well. Even with Quan's report, the characters must search for at least an hour, peering into the undergrowth and probing the ground to locate the shaft. Leads down 40 feet to Area 37 in the quarry. You can tie a rope around many trees near the shaft, use it to descend quickly. Okay, so let's go that. Yeah, that sounds like a secretive way in, and if that's the way Quan went in, or did he go through in... He didn't really say which way he went in. Yeah, it didn't really say which way he went in. But we'll go in through the ventilation shaft. So we gotta find it. Our usual method of D6s each hour. And it's early morning, so it's like 8 as we start searching. Or, you know, like it's like 9 when we get to the area. No. So that's that was 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12. Oh, 11 to 12, we found it. Yeah, we're hoping to get a 6. Okay. So, yeah, around noonish, we actually find it. 5 feet wide, stone-lined sides, plunging 40 feet down. So we will attach our rope and begin climbing down. And this goes to Area 37. So 40 feet down. Okay, so 40 feet down, we reach an iron grate in, like, the ceiling of this chamber. And then, so the floor of this chamber is then 12 feet below us. And there's another grate down there at the floor beneath us, and the shaft apparently continues another 20 feet. So we're going to have to, I guess, force this. It's just an iron grate that's just built into the shaft. So yeah, there's no like lock or anything. It's not meant to be opened. It's just a grate. So yeah, we're gonna have to break this unless I want to use passage right now. Oh yeah, we should have recovered fully. All our abilities and stuff should be back. We took a long rest after rescuing that kid. You know, just a few days at home. That'll do you. Which is pretty much all good. We didn't really take much damage from that siren or anything, or the giant enemy crab. It's all pretty good. So we are all right. So breaking through this. Yeah, if I had a hacksaw or something, we could cut through it. Or if I had acid, we could just melt through it. So do I want to use passage, which then we could just carve a hole like in the shaft and just slide out that way. It's a lot quieter, that's for sure. So if we're concerned about underclock, which we are at all times, I guess let's try casting passage. So we're going to use spellcraft. We're going to roll int, normal, great success. Okay, well, then passage, it could be up to 10 feet thick, I guess. Or we could last it more than, I think normally it lasts like 2 rounds. So we can just make it last a little bit longer. Either way, it's fine. We're good. So now we slip through, and then we're gonna, the rope, this is 40 feet down, so the rope can kind of continue, except if we leave it in the passage and it closes, it's gonna get severed. And the problem with this strat really is that we don't have a way back up. We're gonna be dropping down, and that's it. And that's the alternative to smashing our way through, in which case we'd have the rope that goes all the way back up. Well, okay. I think creating the passage, I could see that completely dislodging the grate, and then it just falls. Which is also a little noisy. I could see that being kind of noisy as well. We need a map. I need a big map that I can just look at. Ideally loading it. Well, no, we don't really want to load anything into Foundry because we can't see anything. Our character sheets take up the whole screen. So really, I just want like a JPEG. Do we have maps? So, sort of? Sort of. The answer is sort of. Just looking to see if anyone's made, like, new versions or something. Not really. Not really. And I guess it's probably not that hugely popular of a module. It was released in 2013, and it's part of a big compilation. So, yeah. Not really. Shame. Can't even find just like a decent image of the map that they because they do provide maps, obviously, here. So I guess I could just. All right, give me a second. I'll just cut this out, and then we can just look at this separately. Okay. Good. So there we have our map. And so we're in 37, I believe, is the number we were in. So there's 3 levels to the quarry. All right, so we are right here. We're on the main level. There's the other shaft in the floor if we want. So, okay, we created the passage. The grates fell, but yeah, we're so far from anything else that nothing's really going to hear, but we'll just roll once for the underclock. Just 1. Okay. Easy. So now our rope is dangling down to the floor here. 52 feet, so there's even a little bit of slack. Good, good. We like that. This is our escape route if we have to run. And we are prepped, ready to continue on down this tunnel. And there's going to be a passage to our left, or it continues straight on. I guess we'll continue straight on, baby. And we have the light lit. Ilith is carrying our lantern. Marching order, as usual, is Danton, Tress, Villagrad, Ilith, Corin. Which, yeah, means our lantern is... Yeah, no, okay. So Danton, Tress, Ilith, Villagrad, Corin. So the light's right in the middle. Hopefully that's good enough. And we are approaching now number 36. Guard post. Uh-oh. Glowing embers heaped in a pit seem to have driven the subterranean chill and dampness from this chamber. The place also has a table made from crude planks, a few stools and chairs, and 2 tiers of unmade bunks. The off-duty guards assigned to Area 34 live here. 2 humans at night, 4 goblins during the day. They spend most of their time dozing or gambling, but they quickly respond to any fighting in Area 34. It takes them 2 rounds to gather their gear and join any battle there. So there's 4 goblins here right now. So... I don't know. I don't think... goblins can see in the dark, right? So I don't know if they would even have lights on. But maybe it's just standard practice when you're working with humans and everything. It's just, they gotta have lights on. So if we see lights and we kind of hear, you know, them throwing dice or something, some knuckle bones, then maybe we'd douse our lantern. We'd put the hood up as we slowly approach. And let's see if we sneak up on them. So this is going to be their perception versus our dexterity. And this is a group dexterity, not representative, right? Yeah, so I think, okay, let's roll the goblin's perception first. So we're going to go with Argosa goblin. It's pretty standard. So they have a perception of 11. So their roll as a group is 11. So they succeed, but with a margin of 0. Alright, so now we at least need half of our group. We'll skip Ilith, whatever. We're not worrying about her. We need 2 of our 4 to get at least a margin of 0 on a dex check. Alright, that's a margin of 4, so that's good. Villagrad, failure. Horin. Horin has stealth. Let's just roll stealth. Great success. Well, that clinches it. Danton doesn't even really have to roll. But he will, because he's good. He got a terrible failure. Well, it's pretty in the middle there, but I think we rolled a 1 and a 20. It could go either way, really, but technically 2 of us succeeded. So that's all that matters. So the goblins have not noticed us. We see a couple of them snoozing in their beds, and then a couple throwing dice on the table. And they're goblins. If it was humans, it'd be a little bit like, oh, I don't know, man. Are we just killing, like, residents of Dark Shelf or something? Like, we don't know the situation here. We don't really know anything. We just know there's some funny business going on. And that's about it. But now we see goblins, and it's like, oh, well. It's a little, yeah, it's a little racist. Okay, I mean, it's a little racist. Well, I'll admit. But we're going to cast Dark Slumber. It's going to be amazing. Spellcraft. Spellcraft. Dark Slumber gets cast. So they each get a luck will roll to resist. Well, let's roll 4d4. 10. So that's definitely good because they're all 1-hit dice. Actually, they're like half of a hit dice, to be honest. So, yeah, we could actually get like 20 goblins. But they each get a luck will roll to resist. Oh, I have to roll my int first. Whoops. Failure! But this we can re-roll because it's arcane lore. And actually, I should have a +1, so I should just be rolling arcane lore when I do this. There you go, success. Alright, so now they each get a luck will to resist. They have a will of 8, which is -1. I'm pretty sure. Yes, it's -1. So, and their luck is what? 3. 3! So they have to roll a 1 or a 2 to not fall asleep. 2, 3, 4. Well, they all did abysmally poorly, so they all get conked out and sleep. Now, if we were really good people that weren't sure of the situation and everything, we would maybe tie them up. We could, like, question one of them and find out what's going on. If any of us... Well, I don't know. Are we assuming they speak Goblin? We know there's humans working here, right? We know there's humans working here. This isn't even the lower level. This is the main level of the quarry, and there's goblins around. So we're already raising a lot of questions. Questions we probably should answer by tying one of them up and investigating, interrogating. Do I want to do that, or are we just going on a murder spree? Maybe I should find out what is actually going on. Within this dungeon. The energetic dwarf known as Basili Arak is really a half-orc fighter named Brubgrok, who resembles a dwarf closely enough to fool most people he meets. That seems highly unlikely. Brubgrok has genuine skill at mining and stonework, and he has quite a smooth tongue. He successfully negotiated a deal with Dark Shelf's overlord for control of the quarry and has been digging a record amount of stone from it. However, his story about finding gold in the quarry is a fabrication. Brubgrok made it up to help explain the income that he's earning from slaving. The half-orc is part of a growing network of slavers who are taking captives and funneling them to the despoiled city of Highport in the Pomari. Brubgrok... Actually, what is this symbol? That's like an eye, but it's weird. I don't know. Brubgrok acts as a broker, buying slaves from bands of slavers and hiding them in the depths of the quarry until they can be shipped to Highport. Slavers are transported through a series of caverns that connect the quarry's lowest levels with the Pallyra River. Brubgrok's dwarves are actually goblins. These skinny humanoids can't pass as dwarves, so they try to stay out of sight. The midnight raid on the slavers' encampment was a staged affair. Brubgrok and his slaver allies rounded up a few members of their organization, whose loyalty seemed questionable, and told them to collect slaves near Dark Shelf. Brubgrok and his goblins then met with the slavers under the pretense of purchasing captives, but instead they turned on the suspected traitors. The slavers, who were deemed the most dangerous to the organization, were killed outright and the rest were brought to trial. The trial itself was legitimate, only the arrest of the culprits was fishy. The authorities in Darkshelf were unaware of the ruse, and the betrayed slavers never figured out what hit them. Okay. So, I think then if we interrogate one of the goblins, we'd pretty much find that out. I mean, they seem to be in the know about all that. So, they would tell us that Basili is a half-orc, resembles a dwarf, and he's actually a slaver, and he's, he's working with local bands of slavers in the region and hiding slaves down here in the quarry until they ship out to Highport, the despoiled city of Highport in the Pomari. Pomarsh, whatever that word is. Despoiled? Plundered? The plundered city of Highport? Okay. It's not a very good place. Where do I want to put Highport if it's... I mean, we could put it on the mainland along the coast somewhere. I mean, this could be Highport, but I think this is kind of a weird, illegitimate thing. Maybe we put it on this island. It's called Highport. We put it right on the coast of this island, and boom, you've got your slaver city and stuff. This is a pretty big island. Relatively big. I mean, it's like 36 miles across here. It's decently big. And then from there, you know, it's the horrible slavers city and stuff like that. The slave trade is legal there. So they're shipping out slaves to who knows what's going on to the east. And probably they're shipping slaves to, you know, the mainland through certain ports. And, you know, the slave trade's illegal here, probably, but you know how things go. And they probably are grabbing slaves wherever they can from the islands and things like that. I think that's reasonable enough. I'm going to build off of that. All right. So, I guess we'll do that. We will tie up one of the goblins and wake him up. And then there's the matter of interrogation. What is his, you know, what is his chance of talking? Well, if it's based on, like, morale or willpower, their will is 8. Like, they're gonna crumble pretty quickly if we really threaten them and stuff. And obviously he sees that we put them all to sleep instantly, so we are potent. So I think he crumbles, and I think he's going to tell us all that they're slavers and blah, blah, blah. And that's pretty heinous. Not going to lie. And I feel like we probably just kill him. Because he's quite evil. These are evil goblins, evil half-orc, evil everything. So, I don't think there's any moral qualms here about putting them to the sword. Yeah, they're defenseless, they're helpless, they should be brought to trial, but this is D&D, motherfucker. Judge, jury, executioners. That's who we are. So, Danton's just gonna shove his spear through this thing's skull. And then we'll do the same to the sleeping ones. Done. But I will roll underclock for that. Ooh, 6. Down to 10. That happened quick. Is that worth an XP? Probably not. I have to say probably not. Nor do we get a short rest or anything, so this was just something we had to do. So there is some equipment here. I mean, I guess there really isn't any equipment here. There's like a few sets of knuckle bones. It says they're fighting gears here, but if they're on duty, then they have their fighting gear on them. So really, it's just a set of knuckle bones, and I think we can ignore that. So that was here, 36, and now we can see goes out into a big passage, like the quarry itself. The main gallery. Yeah, it's looking iffy. That's the entrance, really. This is the entrance of the quarry. This is the main quarry itself. Well, now I think technically, okay, so the quarry is out here, right? That's the open quarry pit. And then this leads into, like, the mines and stuff. So there is a big open area here, but this is interior. This is not outside or anything. It's not open air. So it's just kind of a bigger cavern. Questionable if we'd want to sneak through there. But ultimately, we're going to kind of have to. Tricky. If we have a light on, you know, they're gonna see it. If we don't have the light on, we can't really see where we're going too well. We can stick to the shadows, maybe, as we move through. But it might be better. We're probably gonna go back, double back, go up this tunnel, and check out that situation. And see that it's, you know, a little bit more cramped quarters. Less likely to be seen out in the open. So I think we'll go that way, and we'll probably hug the wall and keep going left. But yeah, basically there's two human guards that are just at the entrance over here. Like, they keeping a watch on the pit outside, so they're over on this side. I don't think there's really any risk of us getting seen here as we hug the wall and continue going west. I mean, we don't really see anybody. We actually, from here, we might have seen the two guards in this region. So maybe that's what convinced us to go back and go this way. But yeah, this obviously is quite dark over here now. So if they were to turn around, they might see our lantern, but probably unlikely. You could probably do a stealth check, but this is, I don't know. It says the slightest sound in here triggers a chorus of echoes that reverberate along a double row of massive chiseled columns in a cavernous hall. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty kind of easy to make noise here. So I guess you could roll stealth. But it's also pretty noisy because 39, which is right over here, this is where they're digging. The ringing tones of metal striking stone or other metal make the walls and the air sing here. The stench of smoke and sweat accompanies the noise. So we hear all that. I mean, there's no denying that. We hear loads of digging sounds and clanging sounds coming from the west down here. I don't know, but if they're slaves? Well, no, we don't know exactly if, like, slaves are working. Well, no, we know that people from Darkshelf, humans, work the mines here. Like, they're not all in on this big conspiracy. So there's definitely normal people just working here. They don't know about the goblins. Maybe the goblins wouldn't even be here then. Well, where do the goblins stay? It says off-duty guards live here. 4 goblins during the day. Yeah, so they live here. I just don't know where these other goblins all stay. That's a big question mark. That might not be answered. Might be answered. Here's Goblin Barracks. Okay, nearly 50 goblins call this chamber home. Okay, so yeah, there's no goblins here. The humans here don't know anything about goblins. Just normal dudes working the mine. And I think we would be aware of that as part of just... But we've seen goblins, so we're pretty wary, I think. And if we turn the corner and we suddenly bump into 30 goblins, that's pretty bad. I don't have sleep available at the moment. So I think we're going to avoid that. We're just going to skip through and then skip over that. And then, so let me roll underclock again. Down to 5. It's getting pretty close. We see a slope, a ramp leading down. And then we hear more clanging sounds coming from the north. So we know there's plenty of mining going on in this area. We probably just want to go down the ramp. We want to get to the bottom of this. So I think we're going to go down to 40. Slowly but surely. Okay. Should I roll underclock again? Or is that that's a little soon, right? So 41. One team of 5 goblin diggers works here day and night. Any fighting here alerts the clerics in areas 42 to 44 and the goblins in area 46. There's a lot of cramped, interconnected areas here. There were sound carries and stuff. We don't want to really get into a fight. So we'd hear the more digging and we would just assume, okay, we don't want to bother with that. So we'll continue south. And, there is a secret door here. Right here, secret door. Let's do perception check with disadvantage. So detection, disadvantage, success. Okay, we do find the secret door. Might be worth it then. Assuming we can just crack it open. Alright, we'll crack it open and we'll look in carefully. This chamber is roughly L-shaped and contains a stone basin filled with sulfurous ash and glowing embers. Each arm of the room has a thick rug, a bed, a desk, and a padded chair. 2 evil clerics reside here. One of them is always in the temple. The second cleric is resting and has the same equipment as the cleric in the temple, including the stone mace. If the cleric has not been awakened by the sounds of intrusion or combat, he can be surprised. Okay, so we slip in and he is sleeping. So we will roll our dex versus his perception to see if he wakes up. Same thing as usual, although I'd probably give us like a +2 since he's sleeping. Alright, Tress failed. That's bad. Great success from Billigrad. +2. Terrible failure. Okay, Danton needs to succeed, but he has a very good chance to do so. Alright, he does. Good. So we, oh no, he shouldn't get a +2. Because he's got his heavy armor on. but he's still passed. Who else? God, yeah, we're all kind of wearing... We're bad at stealth. I don't know why I keep trying this. But either way, we still had 2 successes, so we're fine. Okay, so we see a guy sleeping in bed. We know that he's not a local worker because he would live in town. So it's somebody that lives here. Would we be able to tell that he's evil or something? Probably not. Don't really advertise themselves. He's got wears robes over a suit of studded leather armor, keeps a shield close at hand. Blah, blah, blah. Here's a mace with a stone head. None of this is really like... Yeah, you're evil. We can tell. The rest of the stuff in this room... 2 desks hold writing implements, other mundane items, plus key rings with keys. There's a chest under each bed, locked. Yeah, there's not much to indicate that he's evil. So I don't know if we could in good conscience just, like, slay him in bed. I know that's sort of the normal strat, but... Yeah, I don't know. Best thing that we could maybe try is just grabbing him, you know, and quickly tying him up. Subduing him in that way. What are the rules for Tales of Argosa for non-lethal? Knockouts. If using a weapon to knock out rather than kill an opponent, the character suffers a -2 penalty to attack. If the hit reduces the target to 0 HP, target is rendered senseless but remains alive. Regains consciousness with 1 hit point after 2d6 minutes. Okay, well... I guess we can all approach with our spears and knock him out. Okay. Yeah, the 3 of us with spears slowly creep up to him in bed and are like, alright, motherfucker. And then I guess we use the other end to conk him in the head. So this is a spear attack. We're surrounding him, so we'd get +2 normally. So we'll just roll normal with advantage. Because he's very much surprised. So here we go. That's definitely a hit for 6. He has 9 HP, so that didn't do it. But Tress will get him, don't worry. Yep, okay. So he's knocked out. Thoroughly unconscious. Alright, so we find some key rings. Keys to the doors in area 55 on the cavern level, so I guess we'll take the key rings. And on his person we find another key. Searching the room. I gotta roll underclock while we're searching here, though. Down to 2. It's getting pretty close. Might want to spike a door or 2. So we find chests under the beds, and one of them is opened by the key. So I guess we find like half of this in the chest. Like a silver unholy symbol. Ooh, an unholy symbol. Okay, now we know that they're evil. This is a symbol to a dark deity. Tress can recognize it. And now we know that there's no good to come from this man. So we have no qualms with robbing him and killing him. We're doing very well on stealth stuff, but we need a normal fight to get his spells back. I want sleep available. So we find an unholy symbol made out of silver. We find 130 gold plus 9 platinum, so 45, so 175 gold, 3 bloodstones, potion of healing, and a vial of an herbal preparation that cures the malady caused by the spores of the puffball fungi. Okay, so 175 gold we will take. Good money. Then we find the 3 bloodstones, which are 15 gold each. Three. Loot. Okay. Potion of healing. Does Tales of Argosa have a potion of healing? I would imagine so. There's a whole section on potions. Potions, blah, blah, blah. Roll 1d6. Mend flesh as the spell. So it's a mend flesh potion. What is the effect of mend flesh? Restore hit points equal to 1d6 plus the caster's level. Or 1d4 lost attribute points, except for luck or initiative. Or attempting to heal a persistent but not permanent injury. Okay, so it's definitely a light heal. 1d6 plus caster level. I don't know if this had any determinations for caster level. 5th level. Wow, okay, 1d6 plus 5 is pretty nice. Now, unless this is labeled, we'd have to take a sip to try to obtain a clue about what it might do prior to imbibing it whole. So, is this a precedent that I want to set, that my characters are the type to just sip potions? I suppose so. I think the old rule for sipping and like that is that the effect just happens to you, or something like that, which doesn't really feel appropriate. Because if it's a healing potion, I take a sip, it shouldn't heal me the full amount. Like, it might heal me for, like, 1. If it's a poison, the whole poison, I guess, could take effect, but really it should be a lesser effect. So, in theory, I'm okay with sipping as an idea as long as it doesn't do the full thing, because that doesn't really make much sense. So, I guess Danton will sip it. And he doesn't restore any hit points, but I think he can tell that it's a positive effect. So, a potion of healing. Yeah, I mean, I guess he probably could take it. He tends to, but he also has the Ring of Stolen Years, so I guess we'll give it to Tress. Potion of healing. It's 1d6 plus 5 hit points. It is a magic item located in battle gear. I'd say it's probably very rare. It is consumable. And that is all we need to know. Good. Okay, and then we also find the herbal preparation. This is, I'm going to allow an apothecary check, which is probably what I should have done for the potion as well. I think it's decent enough. But this is specifically an herbal remedy, so we're going to roll apothecary. Great success. Okay, so she recognized it by smell and sight and stuff, what this is. Which means she probably has an idea of what puffball fungi do, and might be able to recognize those on sight as well. So that's good, but we're definitely going to take that herbal remedy. Puffball fungi remedy. And we won't bother with stuff. Battle gear. Consumable, 1 slot. Good. Alright. Now, are we going to leave this guy conked out? Do we want to interrogate him? We'd have to wait a while. We have to wait for him to recover. So we could just kill him now that we know he's evil. That's what it's all about. That's why we killed the goblins, because they're evil. This guy's clearly involved with the slave trade. It's like, I guess. But do we think we're going to get any information out of him? He's a cleric, so he's probably kind of fanatical. So I think we just slit his throat. We're just going to slit his throat. And I think at that point, I'm going to give myself an XP. At least 1. I mean, we found the secret door and stuff. So we'll go with 1. But now I have to roll underclock again during all that. And that's going to trigger a random encounter. And I forgot to say I was going to spike the door or anything. Which is okay, because there is no door here. So there are 6 goblins nearby in room 43. What's more is apparently if there's any room at the temple here in 42, the guy that's sleeping in the quarters will hear it and rush in to join, which suggests that yeah, okay. So if there's any fighting, the guy that's in the temple will join, and the goblins will join. And this is all going to be one big fight. Okay. So we have to roll for our random encounter, which means I gotta find the random encounter table. Okay, but that's a random encounter table for the surrounding environs. There are no wandering monsters in tournament play. Huh. Tournament play just seems like such a wild concept to me. Like, it's just not a game that I would ever think of doing tournaments for, but I mean, they did for decades. I'm pretty sure they still do. Okay. Huh. Does this module not have a random encounter roll? It sure does not seem to have a random encounter table, which suggests that there aren't meant to be random encounters here. I mean, we could come up with stuff, I guess. You could come up with your own, but it doesn't seem like there's anything. And this isn't one of those super popular modules. No. It's like not really much discussion about it. This suggests that there is random encounters. So you literally just have random encounters for the surrounding wilderness, and there's a chance that it's a patrol of humans on war horses or goblins on wargs. And there is a chance that the main villain of the entire module is with the patrol. And he could just die during the random encounter. But that's the only mention of random encounters in the whole thing. So I think we're just not doing the underclock here. This is a set... I guess it's written with tournament play in mind. But yeah, unless I want to just come up with stuff, and we could just do like generic cave stuff, but it's not really appropriate. This is all pretty civilized. There isn't like wandering monsters. It would just be like wandering packs of goblins, and there's enough of those just in play. So yeah, I guess never mind. We're fine. So we slit the cleric's throat. All good, all good. And now we can kind of creep forward towards 43. And unfortunately, it's dark in this room. And there's just goblins standing guard in the darkness. So there's no chance of stealth here. Yeah, there's no chance of stealth here. And as, you know, they're going to kind of see us coming. And they're going to exclaim, probably. I don't know if they're smart enough to be like, we must be quiet. I think they'll probably yelp and call for help because they see a group of 5 coming down from the cleric's quarters for some reason. They've been breached. So honestly, I think we're just getting into combat with 6 goblins. So let's just do it. Our initiative. Failure. So the 6 goblins are shouting for help, which means that the cleric will be joining in 2 rounds' time from the temple. That's all there's to say about that. And they apparently have slings. They all have slings. So 1d4. If we go to Argosa, goblin stats, did they get slings or did they just have bites? Okay, well, we're giving them slings. So they'll be rolling +1 with their slings, doing 1d4 damage. So on and so forth. Okay, so they're all gonna shoot, and we've got Danton and Tress up front, so we'll just do 3 each to each of them. And so goblins have to roll 17. Danton first. Hit. Press. Miss. So 1 hit actually lands enough on Danton to hurt. For 1d4 damage. Of course it's a 4. Alright. Well, he's not going to take kindly to that. But they should probably also do a minor exploit. So I guess they'll do... yeah, ranged minor exploits. Try and figure that out for me. What is the opposed option here? It all makes sense in melee. And again, I will vent my frustration that all of their examples are basically melee things. Knock an opponent off his feet, grab hold of him, drive him backwards, throw him through a window, disarm him, throw a wolf off a cliff, target is tripped, thrown through the window, etc. You know, this is all melee stuff. You do have throw dirt in their eyes to temporarily blind them. That is technically ranged, but it's not because it uses dex instead of perception, which is a ranged attack. So it's not meant to be implied as a ranged attack. So it just doesn't really make any sense. How did we do it when we were... I think we did a perception check for them with a -2 when we were trying to blind the crab. So I guess let's do that. We'll have that goblin roll a perception check at -2. And their perception is 11. So he's got to roll 9 or better. He did. Alright, so he kind of hits Danton in the eye a bit. And he's got a 33% flat miss chance for this round. Okay, but now it's our turn. So Danton's going to charge in. He's going to use Adaptable to trigger Long Reach. So he's going to get a free attack on 1. So this will hit, but I need to roll the flat 33. He rolled a 1. So no, his fucking eyesight caused him to miss. Fuck. So now he gets a normal attack. This also is going to be a 33%. He misses a second time. That eye, man. Ah! So that's it. He doesn't get anything else. Horan's going to try to shoot one. Okay, she kills one easily. I wish we had Opportunist here. But we got nothing. Tress will join Danton to pick up the slack. So she'll roll a spear attack. That is a miss. And then Villagrad has no spells. So we'll try and surround the goblin that we're all trying to hit with a spear. So we get +2. Okay, that is a kill. So we've killed 2 of them after 1 round. We got 1 more round, and then the cleric's going to show up. So initiative check. Failure, of course. They all get to go. Yeah, I don't know how close they are all or anything. We're not tracking all that. But I'd say probably like 1 or 2 of them. One of them. Maybe one of them is going to go melee, and then the rest are still going to sling. And there's 4 left. So 1 melee against Villagrad, who has the weakest armor, obviously. So he's the main target. So they get +1. That's a hit for D6 damage. 5. And he'll do a minor exploit, I suppose. He will try to disarm him, so oppose dex check. Villagrad got a success of 5. I'm pretty sure that beats the goblins, so he fails the disarm. Then 3 slings are all going to go on Corin in the back. This is +1. Fail, hit, fail. So 1 hit for D4, 1 damage. And it'll do the same thing. I'll try to blind him. So it needs a 9 or better. Fail. Okay. Corin sort of turns her head at the right moment to avoid it hitting anywhere near her eye. And then we're good. That's all of them. So Danton now he shakes the blood out of his eye or whatever, and he's gonna spear this little bastard. Boom! Crit! That's what I'm talking about! 10 damage. It's very dead. And then he's gonna use Opportunist to attack a second one nearby. That is a kill. Yeah, they have 1d4 health, 11 AC, so that is a kill as well. He just very quickly took out 2. Corin will take out the one that shot her in the head. Nope, she will miss, unfortunately. So she does have duty bound for her follow-up shot, but hopefully she doesn't need it. Tress will try and just stab it, though. Kill. That leaves one left for Villigrad to spear nice and good. It has 11 AC. How much HP does it have? 1. Okay, it's dead. All 6 goblins dead. And that's when now the cleric shows up. So, new round of initiative. Great success. So the cleric runs around the corner, mace in hand, ready to blast, but he will be the one being blasted. So stats here from the module. AC of 13. 9 HP. He does a d6 plus 1 damage with his mace. In battle, he tries to befriend long enough to use Cause Fear on a fighter type or rogue. But I think he sees all the goblins like laying dead. Villigrad's pulling his spear out of one's chest as he runs around the corners. So I think he's going to immediately make a morale check to try and run. Because this is overwhelming numbers for him now. But Corin will shoot him. 13. Is that what I said? That is a 13. Yes, so that is a hit for 8 damage. He's at 1 health. Unless I want to use... Yeah, fuck it. No, fuck it. Fuck it. Let's finally use Sharpshooter. So I have to make a perception check to do crit damage. There it is. So that's a crit, which is 11, I think I said. Yeah, crit, max damage plus half level. 11. So, boom. Straight through the eyes as soon as he comes around the corner. Dead. Spit on his corpse because he's an evil cleric. Now, we are definitely more powerful. Okay, no doubt about it. We are definitely way more powerful than level 1 AD&D first edition characters. So, it's going to kind of be important to keep that in mind. Usually you would, you know, modify fights to be relatively appropriate for something like this. Because I feel like we're going to kind of just walk through here. But I don't know. We'll see. And we still can take damage, and we still can get hurt quite a bit. It's just our frontliners have 18 AC. Which is pretty phenomenal. It's pretty phenomenal. Alright, so things quiet down. Return to silence, so we're going to short rest. I don't think Tress is missing anything, so she's fine. Villigrad, however, wants his spell slots back. He is going to use another reroll. Nope. Okay, so we get 1 ability use back. Well, it's better than nothing. We could, however, use my other healer's kit. I should have bought more of these. I love that it just doesn't say the rules there. An int apothecary check to convert a fail into a success. Technically, I did a terrible failure. I don't know if it's meant to differentiate it there. I don't know, but I will accept. We use the healer's kit. It's done. We have to make the apothecary check. Failure. Should I spend a reroll? Sure, she wasn't going to short rest anyway. Now she has an excuse to. So apothecary. Great success. All right, so Villagrad does get his second thing back. I'm going to go for the second spell rather than the heal. And before Tress does her short rest, she will use Cure Wounds on Villagrad. So she has to make a Divine Lore check. Great success. Excellent. So technically we're healing 2d6. Which is almost certainly back to not full. God, that was a shitty roll. Alright, it's fine. And now she's going to short rest. Double success, so she'll get an ability use back for Divine Spellcasting and a reroll back. Perfect. Horan did use Ranger Craft. I didn't mark it, but she did use it, so she'll short rest. Double failure. I don't know if I really want to use reroll, so we'll keep it. And then Danton is hoping to get adaptable back and maybe some health. He has to pick one or the other. Ability use, I suppose. All right. Fair is fair. This is why will is important. Okay. That's good. So now we can poke around a bit. 43, I don't think really has much. No, there's some filthy sleeping furs. And there's a few lumps of coal, but I think we'll skip that. So then we can go investigate up here where the cleric came from. This big open area. The floor in this cavern is packed sand, pale yellow with flecks of iridescent material. Tendrils of pale mist or smoke writhe along the ground, carrying the rank odor of muddy filth and the sharp tang of resin or incense. Ahead rises a pyramidal spire. Pyramidal spire, as thin and sharp as a dart. It is composed of dusky gray stone, marbled with the ghastly white of dead flesh. A staring eye adorns the visible side of the spire. A pit filled with glowing coals lies just beyond each corner of the spire. Yellow and blue flames dance over the coals, and tendrils of smoke and mist wander among the tongues of fire before escaping the pits and creeping along the floor. An irregular pool ringed with slime lies beyond the spire. Before we move on here, actually, we would have looted the cleric. So we find the same shit, but we also find the other keys. So now we're going to go back and get the rest of the stuff in their quarters from that other chest. So we get another 175 gold. Calculator. 378 plus 175. 553. We get 3 more bloodstones. We get 2 more of the puffball remedies. And we find 2 more of those healing potions. Yeah, jeez. Okay. Well, we'll give one to Danton. And then I guess we'll give one to Villagrad, because he keeps going into melee. I'm going to move his dagger over to pack gear, I guess. Oh yeah, don't forget about the fire pots. We want to use that at some point. That'll be fun. That'll be real fun. Okay, and I think we're going to get 2 XP. One for the second chest and one for that fight with the goblins and the cleric. So we're up to 17 now. Awesome. Alright, now back to the spire. The clerics worship an unspeakably evil god they refer to as the Elder Elemental Eye, or simply the Eye. The floor is covered with a natural deposit of sand mixed with grains of quartz and mica. Sand is 1 to 3 feet deep. The four-sided spire is solid stone. Each face is adorned with a single eye. The fire pits are dug out of the sand down to the hard rock below. The fires are stoked with coal, and minerals in the stone floor create the odd smoke. One cleric's always in the chamber, blah, blah, blah. He's wearing the robes, blah, blah, blah. The water in the pool comes from a very small natural spring. The collected liquid is murky and mostly stagnant. It's about 2 feet deep with a muddy bottom about a foot thick. The pool is home to a pair of mud tigers. They generally lie at the bottom of the pool where they cannot be seen. They can hear sounds of combat and other loud noise in the room and move to attack intruders. Okay. Do you have like an image of what these things look like? Is this meant to be? I guess this is the mud tiger. Okay. They dwell on the elemental planes, where water and earth meet to form mud and ooze. So they're elemental creatures? It has a vicious bite. Its most dangerous power is the ability to generate an electrical burst. Shocks everyone within 10 feet of the creature, dealing 2 to 8 points of damage if it has 2 or 3 hit dice, 2 to 12 if it's 4 or 5 hit dice. Successful save versus breath weapon reduces damage by half. Then it has to recharge, blah, blah, blah. That seems like a very modern thing. That feels like a 2013 thing. Any ferrous metal, such as steel, subjected to a mud tiger's electrical burst becomes partially magnetized for 2 to 5 rounds. Characters wielding ferrous metal weapons while wearing magnetized armor or within 5 feet of a substantial mass of magnetized metal take a -2 penalty onto hit and damage rolls. Wearing magnetized armor move at half speed. Okay. Resembles a cross between a shark and aquatic lizard. Covered in scales. And they definitely can walk, so yes. Okay, I guess they will probably attack intruders. I would imagine. So as we're standing here, just gazing upon this evil spire, the mud tigers are going to move in. And they can burrow under the sand. So I'm going to give them a stealth check here. So it's going to be their dex versus one of our perceptions. So their dex, let's just roll a d20. 11. I don't know. It's probably like a success margin of 2. 1 or 2. And then Corin's detection roll. Great success. She definitely sees figures moving in the sand. So we get into a more phalanx position here of something that's going to pop out. Basically no surprise. I mean, we could try and do something in the sand, but we don't know what we're doing. You know, we're just going to wait. Yeah, we'll just have normal initiative then. You could maybe ready an action for anything that pops out, but usually just resolve that as initiative. So we'll roll initiative. Success. Okay. So they burst out of the ground, teeth gnashing and ready to shock. And we'll put them to the sword. Or the spear, in our case, because it's better than swords. Do we want to use adaptable here for a free attack? Let me think. Yes. Spear. Miss. Okay, normal attack. Miss. Fucking Danton. Okay, no go there. Corin's gonna try and shoot one. Miss. This is getting dire. Tress also can try and attack one. She's part of the phalanx here. Holy shit, miss. This is terrible. And we're all clumped together. This is gonna be a nightmare. They're not humanoids, so I can't use sleep. I could summon an elemental, but Yeah, I'd rather not, I guess. So Villagrad will also try to... No, you know what? Fuck it. We're using a fire pot. I'm scared of these things. He's going to throw the fire pot. So this is just a normal perception attack. So he gets like +1 on the roll. He's not very good. Oh, well, he gets +2. So a total of +3 on this dice roll. 17. That is a hit. Excellent. It explodes in melee area, so it'll hit both of them because they're together. 1d10 to both. We'll just do one roll. 6 to both. Excellent. They each have 8 HP, so they're feeling it, Mr. Krabs. They are feeling it. Unfortunately for us, it's their turn. I guess I could do a morale roll immediately. See if they flee from this fire that's burst all over them. Alright, I'll give them a morale roll. I don't know what their will would be, but let me just roll the d20. 18 is going to be a failure. So I think we send them packing. We send them scurrying quickly into the water. There goes the fire pot, but combat over. Was that an XP? Was that a significant fight? I'd probably say not. We didn't even kill him. So probably not. I mean, it's... You know, there could be... Not every fight is going to be an XP. You gotta accept that. Alright, but... Otherwise, you know, we can tell that this is a spire to some sort of dark god. I guess I could have... I'm gonna have Tress roll Divine Lore with disadvantage. Okay, she failed. So she doesn't recognize the deity. But she knows that it's evil. So we've got a band of slavers here. An outfit of slavers. And there's clerics that worship some sort of evil, dark deity. It's unspeakably evil. This is like extra evil. Needless to say, not good. And we're going to be killing a lot of people here. Okay. It says the cleric will notice any combat in Area 41. Now, I would argue that the reverse is not true. Because the ones in 41 are mining. So all they hear is the mining sounds. But if the mining suddenly stops, then everyone else can hear the fighting. But they're going to keep mining, and they can't hear anything. That's my argument. So those goblins are still sitting there. Alright. Yeah. Well, now we move on. We're going to continue down the main tunnel back the other way. Towards 49. Thousands of small, pale fungi carpet the floor and most of the walls in this small chamber. The place reeks of old grease and other less savory odors. An irregular hole, wider than a human, is tall, gapes in the center of the floor. Quarry workers toss their garbage and other offal down the sinkhole. The natural shafts descend 60 feet to Area 61 on the cavern level. About 30 feet down, a tunnel links this sinkhole to the one in Area 50. Okay, so yeah, the big sinkhole. Yes, YouTube, I'm always listening. I will tell you when I stop listening. How about that? How about that arrangement? I'll tell you. Right, so there is a big sinkhole here, and there's just a foul smell and stuff coming from it. Goes all the way down to 61 on the cavern level. So down here. So we could descend down this sinkhole, but, yeah. And about 30 feet down in that sinkhole, there is a tunnel that links it to a different one. The prison trash chute. It's basically the same thing. Yeah, it just leads to 2 different areas. Okay, not much to be seen here, but there's a passage to the south, passage to the east. Do we hear anything coming from here? Yes, we hear digging sounds coming from the south. Definitely hear digging coming from the south. We don't really hear anything coming from the east. So probably we want to go east. That would be my thought. So we will continue creeping to the east. It's weird not to worry about the underclock in a place like this. It just doesn't seem right. But it's like, I get, like, there's not just going to be randomly, like, giant spiders just wandering around, you know. This is a pretty, like, it's like a settlement, you know. You don't roll random encounters most of the time in settlements. Unless you're playing, like, Elder Scrolls 1 or Daggerfall or something. Then it's just bullshit. Okay, so, yeah, we head east. Brubgrok uses the natural chambers in Area 52-53 as a holding area for slaves awaiting shipment. The door is made from iron bars and blocks the only practical entrance or exit from the holding area. It is possible to go through Area 53, but the characters would have to climb down the sinkhole in 49, make their way through the tunnel to the other hole, and climb back up into Area 50. Boxed text assumes the party approaches the door from the west. A door of blackened metal bars blocks the corridor here, sealing off passages that run north, south, and east. Beyond this portal, a point of light flares for an instant. The bar doors does not seem to have hinges or handles on this side. The door's hinges are on the east side. It's also barred from the east side, and a padlock holds the bar in place. A character can try to reach through the bars and pick the lock, but the bugbear guard might have something to say about that. The guard carries a key to the padlock. A knock spell opens the door. A character can force the door with an open doors roll, but reduces the chance for success by 1. A successful bend bars lift gates roll also forces the door. A bugbear always stands guard here. He stays out of sight in a shadowy alcove just south of the door. The guard has no comforts other than a 3-legged stool and a rack to hold his weapons. He keeps an eye on the door and the corridor beyond using a hand mirror. That's the flash of light mentioned in the box text. If the player characters start working on the door, the bugbear takes action. Melee attacks with slashing or bludgeoning weapons cannot pass through the door, but attacks with piercing or thrusting weapons can. Spears work through the door without penalty. While the party's on the west side of the door, the bugbear uses his spear. He switches to his morning star if a foe gets past the door or reaches through it. Any fighting here alerts the bugbear guard in 52, who alerts the guard in 53, and then advances to help defend the door. Okay. So he already saw us. There's no surprise for us. Like he saw us with his mirror. That's done. There's no argument. Unless we're in pitch darkness, which we're not. So he saw us coming, and we don't look friendly. Covered in blood and stuff. Carrying weapons. Out. Like, our weapons are out, obviously. So yeah, he knows that we're up to no good, and I guess as we approach the door, he's going to... I mean, we probably should give a perception check, I suppose? I feel like it's really hard for enemies to surprise us. Because our perception is just too good. I mean, we could give him a bonus, because he's like, all he has to do is just hide behind the corner. So you might not even need a roll. Like, if the DM just decides, like, yeah, you walk up to the door, he's gonna jump out and stab you. So, in this case, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of guaranteed. But that's not really fair, I suppose. Somewhat fair, but not super fair. All right. I'm going to allow the perception check, but it has to be Danton who's in the front. Okay. So his perception. Terrible failure by margin of 5. The Bugbear's dex check is a 13, which is maybe a failure by 1 or something. So I think he's going to surprise Danton. So he's going to get an attack with his spear. With, so he's hit dice 3. So he's got +3, and he's going to have advantage on this roll. So that's an 18, which is a hit. And we're looking at 2d4 damage. Oh, that's with his Morning Star. 1d6 with a spear. 3 damage to Danton. Slipped through his guard. Surprised him. Ugh. And then the Bugbear, shouts like, "Intruders!" Alright, now we roll initiative. Success. Alright, well, Danton's not going to stand for that fucking nonsense. So, yeah, we're just going to stab back. Hey, how about that? A crit. And natural 19. So we do 10 damage to this thing, which leaves him at 4 health. And then I'm gonna fucking I don't like this guy, so we're using adaptable to go with brutal, and to add 2 to our trauma roll. Ooh, 13. I'm pretty sure you're just dead. I'm pretty sure it's a severed neck. It doesn't ever say, I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't really ever say what you do if you roll above a 12, but I always just interpret that as the 12 option. And now my PDF reader froze, so that's good, but it's a severed neck, so I think he gets like a luck con save to like save his neck, but either way he drops to 0, so he's done. Like, we don't really care. Target makes a luck con save. On a fail, they die instantly. On a success, they're reduced to 0 hit points instead. It really only matters for players or really important NPCs. But I can roll a luck roll for his con. That might actually be a success, but okay, so he bleeds out and yeah, he's dead. But he got his shout off, so there's going to be intruders coming. Not intruders, there's going to be other guards coming or something. So, there's 1 Bugbear and 52. And then 1 Bugbear and 53. So 2 more Bugbears are going to be coming. And they're going to be running. I mean, they heard the shout that there's intruders, so they're charging in. They're not being really stealthy. I think I'll have Corin ready in action to just shoot anything that comes around the corner, as usual. So, shoot. Shoot. Miss. Okay, misses. Alright, now a new initiative. Okay. We go first. I'm going to have Villagrad use Passage to try and get around this thing. So he's going to use Spellcraft. We're going to roll Arcane Lore. Great success. So it lasts for 4 rounds in case we want to dip back or something. But yeah, he just creates a hole in the wall next to the gate. Pretty simple stuff. So now Danton is going to charge in. He's got no adaptables left. So he's just going to go and stab one of these guys. Crit. 10 damage. Now, doesn't he get the blade trauma effect on a 20 as well? Yeah, any crit. Yes, okay. So he gets blade trauma again. Which is D12. 7. Shorn Ear. Suffers disadvantage on hearing, perception checks, and balance-related checks. Okay, it doesn't really... Basically nothing. Nothing we care about is that effect. Yeah, I might... I don't know, I really should just like redo all these traumas. That's what I sort of was having AI do, was rewriting them all, so that they were more general for like any type of creature. So on my redone table, it would be tendons sunder. Tendons, ligaments, or hydraulic muscle analogs are severed. Target can no longer make multi-attacks or reactions. Yeah, so that, I guess that would include like free, opportunity attacks and stuff like that. Honestly, I mean, that makes more sense and is applicable to any type of creature. So I think that's a big improvement, personally. I'd probably still want to just find a general crit table that someone else has put together without the use of a large language model. But for our purposes, this, I think, is overall an improvement. I think my 10 or 11 is better than their 10 or 11. I think most of my effects are just better than their effects. So it's a little bit maybe too powerful. But keep in mind, this also applies against players. I don't know if I ever remember. Because I think I did roll a 19 at some point recently, didn't I? There was an enemy that rolled a 19 against somebody, and I just didn't... I wish there was a module that just anytime I roll a 19 on a d20, just remind me that that exists. Because that should apply to players. No, maybe I didn't. I don't know. I could have sworn I did, but maybe I didn't. No, maybe I didn't. Okay. So fuck it. We'll just say we shred his tendon and he can't make any reactions or multiple attacks. It isn't really beneficial, but it's cool. It's cooler than cutting his ear off. What were we doing? Right, so those two went. Corin is still going to shoot through the bars, I guess, against the same one that Danton just hit. That is probably going to be a miss. I think we said they have... Yeah, they have 14 AC. And then Tress will come around and join Danton as well, so this will be a +1. That is a hit with more blade trauma, but it doesn't matter because he is dead. But hey, we can roll on blade trauma. 11. So now, if we use the Argosa ones, that's a severed leg. If we use our other ones, we split his torso or central mass. His internal organs spill out, and he dies in 2 rounds if he doesn't have magic. Oh, he's dead now, my friend. But yes, pretty solid. We just slice open this bugbear's guts onto the ground. Alright, so we have one other bugbear. He sees his buddy just get split open, intestines spilling out. He sees the other bugbear that got pretty brutalized, I think, by some sort of effect. I don't remember what killed his buddy. Yeah, I don't remember what killed his buddy, but it was pretty bad. So I guess I'm going to give him a morale check right now, and we will roll. He succeeds. He wants to fight, so he switches to his Morning Star for 2d4 damage. And he's going to swing at Tress. We'll do Tress. This is a d20 plus 3. That is a miss. And that's it. That's all they get. You know, it's like nothing too special. Yeah, we're kind of having overwhelming power here in numbers compared to our opponents. All right, new round. Terrible failure. Okay, he's gonna try again to hit Tress. There you go, crit. He does. Ooh, Well, max damage plus half his hit dice. Round up would be 8. Plus 2, 10 damage. And she does not have a helmet, unfortunately. Only Danton has a helmet. So she is taking a clobbering. Ow! Yeah, that sucks. We don't like that. Danton is not going to stand for that sort of behavior. He's going to stab the shit out of her. +1. That is a hit for 6 damage. So he's down to 8. Tress will also counterattack. She recovers quickly enough. Miss, fortunately. Orin will shoot through the two of them, missing. Fortunately, she doesn't have to re-roll to try and see if she hits any of them. And then she'll move through the passage before it closes. And Viligrad will also move through, and he'll go up with his spear because, you know, he could do it. There you go, 4 damage. So now it's at it was at 8, so it's at 4. Was it at? Yeah, okay, yeah, it's at 4. All right, I'm gonna give it another morale check though, because he put everything he got into that one swing, and it didn't drop this elf. And now he's got 3 targets on him with spears. So he's going to roll again. That, we're probably going to say, is a failure. So if he gets a turn, he's going to flee. Failure. All right, he's going to flee. Unfortunately, opportunity attacks exist. So, yeah, it's not looking good for him. Did I say he has a 14 AC? He does, so he's dead. Right through the back of the neck. But see, this is why I said there needs to be an option to avoid, to do like the fighting withdrawal, where you can leave. I think I said I was going to spend his action. So maybe we should do that instead. He spends his action to do a fighting withdrawal, and then he moves 30 feet back. It doesn't change anything in this situation, because then we just move forward and we stab him. But I think that option should exist. Because it could have been, we could have done this a little differently, and he tried to flee last round on his turn. He does the fighting withdrawal, he moves 30 feet, and then he went first this round, and he moves 60 feet away, and then he gets away. Whereas, without that rule, no matter what, we'd get 3 ops, and he would just be dead. Maybe that's more realistic, I suppose. But, yeah, I think there's a reason most games give you a way to avoid opportunity attacks. All right. Combat is over. That's going to be worth an XP for sure. Bump us up to 18 out of 25. We're nearly there to level 3. And we are going to short rest. Faux show. Do I want to cast Cure Wounds on Tress first? It's kind of a horse apiece. We're gonna get 5 back, and then like 2 more back, so 7 back. We at 14. That's probably pretty good enough if we succeed on both. And we did. So I'm just gonna do half health, and then half health. Yep, 14. Good. Viligrad did spend a spell, so he'll want to get at least 1 back. All right, good. And he'll get a reroll back, because those are handy. Then Corin, yeah, I mean, there's no penalty to short resting, so you may as well. Okay, nothing. Danton definitely wants at least 1 adaptable back. All right, he'll take it. All right, good. Good, good, good. So then we have 53 and 52 over here. I guess we'll check out 52. The corridor ends in a small alcove where a crude wooden table sits, surrounded by a trio of 3-legged stools. 3 piles of odoriferous furs lies roughly in the alcove's southeast corner. 3 sets of manacles hang from the north wall. Below the manacles, ugly reddish-brown stains form streaks all the way down to the floor. A peg on the south wall holds several rings of keys. The pile of furs contains 3 silver urns. One is stuffed with live coals. The bugbear uses it as a bed warmer. Each of the other 2 urns holds 300 gold pieces packed in ash, so that a casual look makes them look like burnt-out bed warmers. Okay. I guess we'll do perception check here to see if we notice this while searching. Yeah, probably just normal perception check. Oh, she failed. This is detection, though. Would I want to re-roll that? Usually this should be done in secret, so the player doesn't know that they failed or anything. But that sort of requires the DM to have everyone's numbers readily available, which you probably should. So then the DM, they describes the room, they're poking around, they roll, he rolls and he's just like, hey, don't really find anything. Nothing of note. Yeah, I mean, I hate to pass up that much money, but what do you want me to do? Cheat? But the urns are worth 25 gold pieces each, so we could take the urns themselves and then later discover that they're filled with shit. But if we, okay, now, all right, hold up. So okay, so you'd ask like the DM, like, okay, are these urns? They're made of silver, so they're going to be worth something, right? And then what I was going to do running these kind of things based on other people's advice was just tell players what things are worth, because that's like part of your adventuring proficiency. So you'd say, okay, yeah, they're worth 25 gold each. It's like, oh shit, well, this is decent, we're going to be taking these, but I'm going to empty them out. Like, we don't want the coals and the ashes. And it's like, okay, well, you empty them out and you find two of them are filled with 300 gold coins each. Is that right? That seems like an insane amount. It says each of the other two urns holds 300 gold pieces. I don't think there's any other way to interpret that. That's a lot of money we just picked up. Like, holy shit. He's just dumping out coin after coin. It's surprising they can each hold 300 gold coins. How they can't be that big. They're being used as bed warmers. They're not like body pillow size. They're also really heavy, which was a big clue. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're taking them. We are definitely taking them. So, we should split these up though. Let's see. Well, no, I mean, I guess we'll just take the coins, right? Do I even want the urns then weighing us down? Yeah, I suppose I do. Silver urn. Pack gear. Loot. 225 gold piece each. I'll give one to you. And one to you. Okay. And then we can add 600 gold. Jesus. Boom. We're loaded with booty. Okay. And then we have keys. And we go into areas 53, which is 2 sets of rooms. Tiny alcoves that stink of blood and sickness line the corridors here. Manacles ring the walls in the alcoves, forming curtains of rusty metal. Soiled straw and a few buckets and urns cover the alcove floors. Most of the alcoves are empty because the bulk of Brubgrok's slaves are in the guardhouse or have been shipped to Highport. However, the 4 northernmost alcoves in the eastern cell block hold 27 human slaves. Mix of males and female between the ages of 12 and 20. Oh my god. All are uncomfortably cold, exhausted, and hungry, though not dangerously slow. They're all manacled hand and foot to the walls of their alcoves. Among this mass of human misery is the monk Quan, who came here to investigate the quarry for Darkshelf's overlord. He's been posing as a slave. He's learned to pick his manacles and made several secret forays into the quarry, entering and leaving the holding area through Area 50. He's been careful to return to his alcove in time for each head count. Okay. Holy shit. So we get to free all the slaves. Right, so we're going to free 27 slaves. Although I guess Quan is the 28th. Well, no, maybe he is the 27th. So, okay, 26 slaves and then Quan. Although it says human slaves 27. So, fuck it, we're calling it 27. And we say we're heroes. We're here to rescue you. Come with us if you want to live. And now we have to escort them back the way we all came. And now we can open the door. We don't have to have the passage anymore. So we can open the door and lead them out. And there's no random encounters, so I don't really know how else to interpret this other than just we go back the way we came and all is well. And we get them to the rope and we climb up out of the rope. I don't know what else I would do, really. It's like, yeah, good job. I mean, this is a big victory for you, is freeing 27 slaves. But I mean, we're not done here. We have to keep going when we get back. But for now, we're gonna escort them all out and make sure they can get out back to town. They're all exhausted, so that's gonna be a little tricky with the rope. Probably not all of them are gonna be able to climb up the rope. So it would have been better if we had an alternative, but we don't. This is what it is. So it might be a process in which we have to pull some people up on the rope in order to bring them back to the surface. But this is the safest way. We're not going out through the entrance because that opens up a whole ball of worms that we're not going to get into. So, yeah, this is the method. So I think it's going to be very time consuming. I think this is going to take like the rest of the day, but I don't envision us. I mean, we should have a good number of hours without interruption, I would imagine. Yeah, there's the whole guardhouse thing, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, we're here. I guess what we could do is every hour roll an encounter check, because there are random encounters in this area. So that's what we're going to have to do. We're trying to get people out, and we're a bit of a crowd. So I'm going to roll... let's do it this way. I'm going to roll a d6, and that's going to be the number of slaves that we get up during the course of the hour, which seems really slow. But I think it's fair enough. So, and then if I roll a 1, that's going to be a random encounter. So if we roll 6s, I guess I could have 6s explode. That might be a bit more reasonable. All right, we'll do it that way. So we get 4 up during the course of the first hour. We get out of the caverns. We get up there and we get 4 out, and that's the first hour. Second hour, another 4. Slow going. They're very exhausted. They're confused. And we're trying to be as careful as we can. We don't want anyone to die. So, there's probably extra security measures we're taking. But no, we got 8 out of the 27. And there we go. So now we're going to get a random encounter as we're pulling. We're struggling with one that maybe is injured, or who knows what. All right. So we're going to roll a d6 for this encounter. 5. It is a patrol. It's a patrol of 2 to 5 human fighters mounted on light war horses. 25% chance of Brubgrot or Glirthiel. So I guess we'll roll a D100. 25 or less. Nope, not with us. Not with them. 2 to 5. So this is 1d4 plus 1. There's just 2. Okay, so 2 cavalry approach. And they are fighters, but they're level 1 fighters. So they're pretty weak jabronis. And so they hear a commotion and they ride up. And I don't think there's really any way we're covering this. So they immediately draw their blades and initiative. Okay, we definitely go first. Orin is just going to try and snipe one off of his horse, because that's what we do. They have an AC of 4 or 5. Wow. 14 or 15. So that is a miss. Villagrad is not going to fuck around. He's going to cast Sleep. And actually, I think we're done for the day after this. So use Cloak of Magic. Guaranteed. The men and their horses fall asleep. And we kill him. Done. Problem solved. It would have to be a really low roll. It would have to be an extremely low roll. And that would really only prevent the horses from falling asleep. But yeah, we're good. So they all fall asleep and we kill the men. Because they're evil. They're working with the slavers. I don't think their equipment really is of any value to us. But the horses, we could get a couple of war horses out of this. That might be nice. But they're sleeping. But, you know, they're going to wake up soon enough. And we got to keep pulling shit out of here. So, let's do another hour. We're at 9 total now. 13 total. 15 total. 20 total. 25 total. Done. Okay, so it took a good number of hours. The sun is setting, and I think we're going to have to camp. We're going to move a bit away from all this. We'll dump the bodies of the 2 men down the shaft, and we will take the horses with us. So we're going to set up just a camp together, all 20, however many of us. 31 of us or whatever. 32 with Quan if he went with us. And I'm going to spend all my rations. I'm going to share rations with everybody. So that's 20 rations. It's not quite enough to feed everybody fully, but it's better than nothing. So yeah, we're going to eat all the rations. Then random encounter during the night. Check. Oh yeah, something is going to approach during the night. Let's roll a d6 for that. Another patrol, but this time it's pair of goblins mounted on wargs. Would they even approach? No, I don't think they would. That would be really dumb of them. But they might inform others of what has happened. They might gather up the whole goblin army, which is at the guardhouse at night. And so they might come back with like 16 goblins to take care of this problem. Okay, I think we're going to handle that next time. I got to end it here, but we did well. I think we... Yeah, I'm not going to give XP just yet, depending on how the situation goes. I also didn't short rest after that little skirmish, but I do have to spend spellcraft, and we used the Cloak of Magic. So that is a bummer, because I would like to have that Cloak of Magic for what's about to happen. But yeah, we'll leave it off there. Start with that next time. Hopefully we win and I'll save all these slaves and get them back home. But you never know. You never know. For now, though, my name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging with Tales of Argosa. And I'll see you fine folks in the next part.